Stevens just had Rich Gannon, but my guest now is an even better guest, way cooler because, well, he looks a lot like me. But right here, my buddy, I guess I could call you my half brother, right? We can get away with that. So Zion Clark, if you haven't seen him, if you don't know his story, you can Google him after this. Just pay attention to this interview that we're doing. But the world's fastest man with no legs, sitting next to the world's slowest man with no legs. So it's been a while since I got to play my sports. But Zion, thanks for coming down here to Radio Row. Your story's amazing. You know, I see a lot of myself in you, and I'm just so proud of the accomplishments that you're doing with your young life, because in my day, we didn't have a lot of people that supported us. So you've got a lot of people on your side. And for those people out there that don't know your story, if you just kind of refresh how you got to be who you are and what you're doing with it.
Yeah, so my name's Zion Clark. I'm from Massillon in Canton, Ohio. You might know that of being the home of the NFL Football Hall of Fame. There's a big history behind all that, but I grew up the first 17 years of my life in the foster care system, dealt with a lot of abuse, a lot of suffering, a lot of pain, a lot of loss, a lot of death, and a lot of gang violence. And, most people don't make it out of stuff like that, man. And I was blessed with the opportunity to get adopted by the time I was 17 and given like my very last chance at life. And with that last chance, I became a multiple-time state champ, multiple-time national champ. Now I hold a world record. I'm a professional track and field athlete, All-American wrestler. So, I'm trying to see how far this train takes me, honestly.
Hollywood here. He's doing all kinds of stuff going on. But the amazing thing is you're very humble. You know, it's not like, this is your normal. This is my normal. What we try to do is educate the world out there that you can be a successful person being a little different. But it's just like people look at us, they judge us by just what we are, but they don't know the amazing lives that I've had and that you're having.
Yeah, and think about this. People are always like, would you want to have legs? Or what would you think it would be like to have legs? And I'm thinking, or like what my answer normally is like, all right, so it's just like me asking you, how would you feel if you didn't have legs? You wouldn't know, because having legs is all you've known. Not having legs is all I've known. And to us, we just make do with what we got.
I feel like I'm listening to myself talk, because from when my younger days, is a lot like that. It's like, there weren't books out there how to play sports and wrestle for dummies without legs. We just had to evolve. And luckily I had coaches, you had coaches that believed in you and helped you, but they can't go on the mat for you. You had to execute. I had to execute. So, where did you find that inner fortitude to be able to go out there and go, you know what? I'm just as good as an athlete as all these other guys.
Oh man, it was a big realization for myself. I did have the opportunity. Well, I guess I was blessed to have Nate Carr. He is known for placing third in the Olympics in wrestling. He only lost to Dave Schultz. So Dave Schultz,
the brothers, yeah.
One of the greatest wrestlers of all time. So I had one of the masters of wrestling literally living 2 blocks down the street from my mom and I. And I worked with him a lot. I worked with my coaches a lot. I would go seek out different places, different tournaments, and I would still lose. But in a span of 3 months, I was able to turn stuff around. And I finally figured, okay, this works, this works, this works. This doesn't work, this doesn't work, this doesn't work. And it's like playing it by ear. You go to the drawing board. You should say you're doing a math problem. You go to do the math problem, you don't get it right the first time. Okay, you're going to try again until you get it right. So that's exactly what I did with wrestling. A lot of trial and error, a lot of going back to the drawing boards. And then I finally gave way. Next thing you know, I'm beating some of the best guys in the state and the country.
It's so cool. Like I said, I wrestled, he wrestled. We both skateboard. We're both good-looking guys. So, we have a lot in common here, right? So, but, the things that you're looking ahead to, again, I turned my disability into my ability. You've done the same thing. But the sky is not the limit for you. You've got so much going on. Now, you're going to try some MMA?
Yeah, I've been working on getting in the cage. I've been making that transition from wrestling. I've been wrestling 18 years now, since I was a little kid. And now it's time to see, again, how far I can take this thing. I've been working with the best fighters on the planet, from Rampage Jackson to Mike Perry to Anderson Silva. I've worked with some of the greatest fighters of all time. and got to know them on a personal level and learn from them because they are masters in their craft. When you hear those names, it's hard to think of people that are way better than them.
Mhm.
You know, so I've just been kind of readjusting, just like wrestling, going back to the drawing board. Because now instead of like trying to take you down to the ground, yeah, I still want to take you to the ground, but I still want to be able to catch you up top. Well, if you're standing straight up, and I still got to be able to get out the way. So there's a lot that plays into a fight. You know, a fight is a fight. It can go either way. It can go all for you. It can go all against you, and that's what excites me about it. And my thing is, I'm not afraid to get punched in the mouth. You punch me in my face, I'm going to smile and probably punch you back even harder.
All right, you ready?
Enjoy myself. Yeah.
Well, we'll start wrestling here, and this will give the fans what they want. But you know, I know what it's like to wake up every day and not have legs. You know what that people don't know our worlds out there. We live in their world, they don't live in ours. So, what is the biggest challenge for you? Is it the stairs? Is it trying to prove people that don't feel sorry for you? Like, what is your biggest challenge now?
I wouldn't say like regular life isn't a challenge for me. A challenge is when I'm in public and people kind of force their way into trying to help me. I feel like you're about to understand what I'm about to say. Never been in the airport, and they ask you if you need assistance,
And you tell them no, and they bring up the cart anyway, and you're embarrassed.
Yeah, they bring up the cart anyway and say that you have to get in it, or like they go to push your wheelchair after you already said you got it. And that's what I struggle with because there are people that do need help and that do require assistance. But with my thing is, if we're going to be more inclusive and be more inclusive in the disabled world, start asking us if we need help first, and ask for permission to touch our wheelchairs. Ask for permission. Like, yeah, I understand you're trying to be kind, but at the same time, I'm an independent man, and I can handle almost everything on my own.
And I'm the same way. And I think you probably speed up the door so you can open the door and hold it for them and blow their minds, because it's like you and I, we have to open our own doors in life. It is a metaphor, but it's like, we have to go home and deal with how are we going to cook? How are we going to wash ourselves? How are we going to do all these things that we have to do that is very intimate, and we don't need to let them into our world. But for you, going ahead is like, where do you see yourself 5-10 years, down the line when, all this is okay now, but there's, you got to grow up and be a big boy someday, right?
Oh no, trust me, I'm already doing the big boy stuff. Might not see me talk about it, but I got a lot of things in the works. I like this. I say it's safe to say that I'm an entrepreneur. Um, I'm an actor. I'm a newly author. I have one of the world's top children's books right now. I have a book it's called Zion Unmatched. It's in the UK, Canada, and the US. Starting to sell out. You can literally buy it everywhere. And like I'm doing these things that most people wouldn't do till the later stages of their life. And you know why I'm doing it all now is because I don't want to wait till I'm 50, 60 to retire. I want to retire at 35 or earlier. I want to be able to enjoy my life as a professional athlete and do right by my people, myself, and my family.
Do not adjust your sets, folks. No, this is us. You got two guys without legs just sitting here rapping. Zion Clark, one of the most amazing stories you'll see. Google him. What's your website so they can check you out on all that social media and stuff that you don't like?
Honestly, if you Instagram, Big Z, TikTok, Zion No Excuses, Snapchat, Zion Clark, Facebook, Zion Clark, YouTube, Zion Clark. Honestly, just look up Zion.
And he's into so much: drumming, music, acting. What's the limit for you?
I don't know. I try to do things that interest me. Nobody wants to live a life where you go do something that bores you and things that don't catch your mind's eye. I do stuff that, one, if it's a challenge, I'm interested. Two, if it looks fun, I'm interested. Three, it's always good to just go put yourself out there because you're not going to know what you can do or what your limits are if you don't go out and test them every day.
And with people staring at us, I always say this all the time, but if they're going to stare at us, we might as well give them a show. And you give them a hell of a show. You really do. Skateboarding, we might do some skateboarding, and he and I are going to play in our Stars and Stripes football game tomorrow with Snoop Dogg and Kurt Warner. Are you excited for that?
Yeah, the dog dog father better watch out. I'm telling you right now. I'm gonna put the burners on.
We'll be both playing a little defense, biting at some ankles and chasing some people down. But Zion, as we wrap up, it's great to meet you. I'm so excited to help you. But in all seriousness, I've had 3 rotator cuff surgeries on these shoulders. This is not going to last you forever. Do you ever think about what you need to do to either scale back or, because they can't fix this at a certain point? My doctor told me it's irreparable, and, I'm living with daily pain, and I don't want you to go through that, because I know when you're skateboarding and dancing and bouncing around, you're all out.
Oh yeah, so I see some of the best specialists around the world, just to keep myself up and running every day. Because fighting is a brutal sport. I've been wrestling almost 20 years. That's a brutal sport, and not just wrestling, but wrestling at some of the highest levels, competing at the highest levels you can compete at in these respective sports. And with that being said, I see chiropractic specialists. I see doctors. I might be doing some stem cell treatment. It's all what I can do to make sure I can keep running, keep being the fastest. If anything, I'm about 4 miles per hour faster than when I first set my Guinness record 7 months ago. So I'm getting ready to re-break it.
That's amazing. Well, Zion Clark is going to be here all week on Radio Row. Hopefully we'll see him on some other bigger things. Last thing I want to leave with is your philosophy for both the leggies out there and people that are, not so fortunate, because we have gifts. We're both utilizing our gifts, but what would you like to leave everybody out there with?
It doesn't require legs to move forward in life. It requires a will and a passion for what you want.
I can't top that. So Zion Clark, go visit him on his website. Check him out running around. Maybe we'll get a race going tomorrow or something crazy like that. All right. Zion Clark, continue to follow our coverage. I'm Dave Stevens at Radio Row Live. This guy's a stud. We'll see you guys later. Thanks for joining us. Bye.
Yeah, I like having fun.